Hello everyone. This video is about transmuting symptoms that we commonly associate with colds or flus, which is just energy in the body manifesting. And this really came up on the Camino de Santiago that Nikki and I went on in 2022. And there was times when Nikki wasn't feeling well for a few days and would do this process, and it really helped her recover, um, and also not ever get too sick. It also helped me too, because there was a time when I started to feel sick, and I did this process, and it blew through me within a day, which was really amazing. So I'll describe it now, and the things you need to know that we're going to be working with is we're going to be working with the human energy field, and we're going to be working with the chakras, and we're also going to be working with the claims I am word. So let's start with the human energy field. And the human energy field is basically the different energy bodies that make up your field. You have the physical field, the physical thing that you're touching. And right on the edge of that would be the emotional field. So it's kind of like, imagine if you've ever thought of your aura or something like that. It's like a field closest to you, which would be the emotional layer, where some of your emotional energy is. Now, outside of the emotional layer would be the mental layer, probably about this far out. And this is going to be where a lot of the thoughts and ideas are kind of hovering around you. And this can be a very heavy layer for a lot of people, especially if you're a very mental person, if you're always thinking, analyzing, calculating. This can really be a dense field for you. And outside of that would be your spiritual layer. So the spiritual layer definitely extends much further out than, where my hand is. But this is your, not the full extent of you, but let's say your spiritual energy layer. These are the four main layers that we're dealing with. And think of these layers almost like interlocking layers, for lack of a better word. So, or like an onion rather. So at the center you have your sacred heart space. Let's just imagine there's an energy space right here, and energy in the center of your being wants to move, to transmute, and it is moving through the body, but it needs to also move through all of these layers. And so that can be why sometimes it feels really congested, not just in the body, but just your entire field. So what you want to do is align these layers, because these layers are always moving. They're always in motion, and they may be organized in a certain way. And what you want to do is you want to line them up so that the energy can move with ease. So the first thing we do is we align our energy layers. So to do that, we can you can do this mudra. So I'll teach you a few things. You can do a mudra like this. So you can see I've got two fingers like this, and I've got these two that are touching the tips of the thumb. And what we're going to do is you can say, I'm opening, and you're going to do this circle. I'm opening or setting my energy layer, my spiritual layer, to 0 degrees. So you do something like this. And the mudra is not necessary completely, but it gives you at least it gives the mental ego this feeling that it's doing something. Another way you can do it is if you have a pendulum. This can also be very helpful. So if you're using a pendulum, you say, pendulum, please help me tune my spiritual layer to 0 degrees. And what the pendulum will do usually is start moving. You can see this one's moving, and it's doing the work. So as it's moving, it is aligning the spiritual layer to 0 degrees. And when it comes to a stop, it will usually indicate that the work is done. So you can see that just stopped. And all I'm doing is holding this. And if you've never worked with a pendulum, the way it works is it's responding to your electromagnetic field and kind of moving with your intention. So it does it'll work for you, but it's not a magical instrument. It is not something that has power. You don't. It is actually your power. It's just being expressed through the movement of this to kind of help you understand what's happening. So spiritual layer will be first, and then what we're going to do is we're going to open the mental layer. So you can do one of these circles. Please tune my mental layer to 0 degrees. So we've already got the spiritual layer at 0 degrees, and now I'm just tuning the mental layer. And I can feel sensation, especially around the head. When I do that, you might feel some type of energy shift, or just some kind of like a buzz or a static maybe changing. And you're just waiting for that, just kind of observing and waiting for that to hit its point of completion. And again, you can use a pendulum to help you monitor where that is if you're unfamiliar with the sensations. If you don't have a pendulum, you could also use a necklace. So just a simple chain, and if you want to put a ring on it or something like that, that works great. It could also be a string with a knot on it. So it's not difficult to make your own pendulum. Anyways, once we've done that, I definitely feel a lot of energy right now in the mental layer. And the reason why we're starting from the outside in is because we want to give the energy its ability to release. And so if you started at the physical layer, what can happen is sort of like a traffic jam, right? The energy is trying to move from the physical out, and if these other layers are not tuned to 0, there can be kind of a buildup. And you can experiment and just see how you feel if you want to try it the other way. So what I'm going to do now is just open the spiritual layers, setting the emotional layer to 0 degrees. I am now setting the emotional layer to 0 degrees. And just notice how you're feeling with that. It's a different type of sensation than I have. It's definitely more in my throat, and actually a little bit in my sinus, a little bit in my heart area. So I can feel how the difference is when I'm doing that. And if you want to use a pendulum, you can do that as well. I'm just observing where I'm at. And there's a lot of energy there for me as well. And it's really interesting as I set the emotional layer to 0. This is where I can actually feel a lot of congestion. So much different than the mental layer. I can feel almost like a physical congestion. Okay, so I'm at 0 there, and now what we're gonna do is I'm tuning my physical layer to 0. So again, you can use this mudra, you can use the pendulum. You don't have to use anything. You can just set that intention and observe. So my physical layer doesn't have much going on. So there's definitely a lot more congestion in my emotional layer and my mental layer. The physical seems to be pretty good. And I'm just kind of tuning those, right? So if you're feeling some symptoms in some areas, what you can do with all of these human energy field, these layers aligned, we're going to then say anything in my spiritual layer, which is not for my highest and best good, which is ready to be released, which can be transmuted. I'm asking my higher self to support me in this. And then I am word through this intention to release anything and everything from my spiritual layer that is no longer for my highest good, ready to be released, and is not in my highest and best good at this time. And even just saying that, I can feel the movement when you're claiming the I am word. You're calling on the energy of the divine, your higher self, and it's working on an energetic level. So that's what you're doing when you're saying I am word. If you want to learn more about I am word, you can look at the teachings of the guides through Paul Selig in the book I am word. And then you just move down the layers. So you'll go to the Mendel layer next. I am word through the release of all energies, ideas, intentions that are longer for my highest and best good, no longer in alignment with me, that are ready to be released. I am word through the release of all these energies, ideas, and intentions. Word, I am word. And what you're doing here is you're just observing the movement of energy through your field. You can observe it. You may have sensations in the body. You may feel sensations outside of your body. And you're just allowing those things to move. And I'm going a little fast, so I don't advise you to blow through this. This is something that can take some time. And you just kind of want to sit with it. And the key here is to observe, right? Just to observe and to witness and to be there for the energy and to keep using these claims. I am word through this release. Word, I am word. I am word through the cleansing of this field. Word, I am word. And then you'll move through the different layers. So we'll get down to the emotional layer. I'm word through the release of any emotional energy, idea, intentions that are no longer in my highest and best good, that are ready to be released. I can be released. Word, I am word. And what you'll see is, because we've already aligned these layers, it should be very easy for the energetic pathways to kind of just pulse out anything that is ready to be released. And what you're doing is just observing the sensations in the body and your field and how things are moving. No judgment, no trying to figure it out, not coming up with a story, not attaching to any memories or ideas or stories that are coming up as this release is happening, but just allowing that energy to move, and you're just witnessing it moving. And then you'll move to the physical layer. I am word through the release of any energies, ideas, intentions in the physical layer that are no longer for my highest and best good, that are ready to be released. Word, I am word. And I'm feeling a lot of energy just saying these things, so it looks like I've got a lot to let go of in the different layers. So this is kind of the overall process. And then if you're feeling a little bit out of alignment, I would also suggest doing a similar command process for your chakras or your energy centers. Just you can use the pendulum if you want to use it, right? Or a ring on a necklace, or your fingers, right? This mudra, right, that we were talking about. Or you can just ask your higher self. You can say, I'm word through the alignment of my energy centers, and just observe the different energy center places. Taking a look at the root, the sacral, the solar plexus, the heart, the throat, here, right, third eye, pineal gland, the crown. Just observing where they are. You can go one by one and see, are we in a line? And you can do all sorts of things with those. Just feel them. You can ask your higher self to clean them out, give them a good spin, and just making sure they're aligned. And then, and this could take 10 minutes, could take 20, could take an hour, just as long as you see the need for this movement of energy and how it feels to you. And then you can do some acute transmutation. So if you're feeling, stuff in the sinus or underneath the eye or, in the throat, anywhere that you feel there may be some acute sensation, then go to that and start wording through that as well. So if you have, let's just say, some sinus pressure, I am word through this sinus pressure. Word, I am word through the release of any ideas, energies, intentions that may be ready to be released. Word, I am word. And again, we're claiming the word, asking the higher self to do this work. This is all energy work. And just observing the body, observing the sensations, the flow of energy, feeling any type of vibration or sensation, and just wording through that whole process. So that overall is the process when you're feeling different symptoms that could make you, think about being unwell. Try some of this and see if some of those symptoms can be released in that way. It helped Nikki a lot and me a lot while we're on our Camino. And you can even do this when you're not feeling sick or having those symptoms, and just notice some of the heaviness or weight in your field that can be released from these different layers. Okay, hopefully this is helpful to you, and give it a shot. Let me know how it goes.